Hello and welcome to Module 2 of our Advanced Instructor Training program. My name is Paul Chasse, and Module 2 today is we're going to do some tutoring on the introduction of PowerPoint. So this is beginner PowerPointing for Module 2. And as you can see the screen, we are in a PowerPoint. We are in the PowerPoint software program. Before we begin, a couple things. First of all, I just want to talk a little bit about PowerPoint itself. PowerPoint is still the most popular presentation software program that's available out there. A couple of tips about PowerPoint before we begin. Just PowerPoints in general, not necessarily the PowerPoint program, but PowerPoints can be an effective tool to keep attention spans and enhance education. So you definitely want to be using PowerPoint presentations. So I guess the word PowerPoint in this particular case means any type of presentation software. It's kind of like Kleenex and tissue, but when I say the word PowerPoint in this particular context, it just simply means any type of presentation software program. So presentation software programs can be an effective tool for attention spans and to enhance education. But you have to be careful about adding too much text to a slide. That's always something I see when I'm out there with classes. Couple of issues with text. First of all, the text can't be very small. People need to read it, not only from the front, but you really should be able to get to the back of the room and be able to read what it is that's on the screen. That and the fact that if there's too much information on the screen, on the slide, they're reading the slide more than they're doing anything, and therefore they're really not paying attention to you. So if you have a lot of words or sentences on a slide, it really becomes a hindrance for what you are trying to teach. So try to be careful about adding too much text to a slide. Also, be careful not to make the PowerPoint presentation too distracting. Again, the more distracting you make it, the less that they're paying attention to the information that's being presented and more about the PowerPoint that they're looking at. So you need to find a fine line between a creative presentation and a distracting presentation. That's something that you just learn over time and something that you just work on to get better at. Again, like I said, PowerPoint is still the most used presentation software program out there, and it can be purchased individually, or more likely nowadays, PowerPoint is part of what's called the Microsoft Office Suite, Office 365. And you can purchase the Office 365, which includes PowerPoint, Word, Excel, and Publisher, typically for a yearly subscription rate of about $99. And I get nothing from Microsoft. I don't get any kind of residual commissions or anything like that, but I'm just letting you know how it works if you've never used PowerPoint before. It often comes in what's called Office 365, and it's about $99 a year for the subscription. And the nice thing about the yearly subscription is that it includes all the updates through the year. You don't have to worry about running out and buying the next good PowerPoint program the following year later. You just simply renew your subscription, and it's kind of like leasing a vehicle. You just get the new model every single time. Also, this is a training webinar recorded live, so I will be sharing the computer screen. You will be able to follow along this whole module as well as the advanced module. Most of these modules now will all be what's called tutorial modules, so that way you can follow along and see what we're doing. As I had said before too, if you are somewhat advanced in PowerPoint and this is something that you know significantly about, well, what I'll tell you is that I would like to have an activity at the end where you simply create a basic three-slide PowerPoint using some of the examples that we're going to go over today, and use them in a PowerPoint presentation that you can just simply send me the file by email. And again, my email is paulchasse, CHASSE, hotmail.com. So for those of you who already know a lot about PowerPoint and we're planning to skip the introductory portion of the tutorial, if you could please send me a 3-slide PowerPoint file, that would be great. For the rest of us, we're going to start with the tutorial now in PowerPoint, and you'll notice we have a PowerPoint program up right now, and the reason why we're doing that is because the software program that we're recording on simply requires us to do so. But what I can tell you is that typically when you don't have your PowerPoint up from the start, you can find it in one of two ways. You can go to your menu on your computer, and under PowerPoint, it should show, there should be a PowerPoint program there for you to bring up. Or you can go into Microsoft Office in the menu, and when you hit on Microsoft, when you click on Microsoft Office, that brings a subdirectory of all the Office products, and PowerPoint is included in that, so you can click it from there as well. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Before we begin, I'm just going to talk a little bit about what you should be able to learn after completing this course. So after the course, you should be able to start and end PowerPoint sessions, edit a presentation, create different types of slides, use the Outline tab, add clip art to a slide, format slides and use templates, use the slide sorter to reorganize a presentation, print various components of the presentation, and run a basic slideshow. So those are some of the things that we're going to learn throughout the course of this 1-hour module. And we're going to start right now with the first section, which is creating a PowerPoint presentation. And so again, because of the recording software, there's only certain things I can't get in and out of the actual PowerPoint program. So what I'll do is just basically tell you what it is you need to do when you first start up. But when you first click on the PowerPoint program, what you will see is under the file, you'll see basically this section right here where you can create a new file. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to create a new file. I can't get out of this because of the recording, but if I did, I would just simply hit New and Blank. And I'm going to basically I'm going to have a blank canvas on the screen, which brings me to this screen right here. So when I click on New and I click on Blank, it brings this up, this section right here. Now this is what's called a quick tab. So this slide already has something on it where you could add a title right now if you wanted to, and add a subtitle, and you could be off and running, or you can design it however you want to. So we're going to start from scratch, and we're going to take this out. So you'll notice when I move my arrow over to the line, the border there, and I click on and I left click the button, it lights up. Now, you're going to find a lot of what we do in PowerPoint is similar to what you do in Microsoft Word or Publisher. So if you use Microsoft Word a lot, this is very intuitive. It works similar in the same way. So when I left click that line, you'll notice it lit up. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, and it's going to bring me up an option. And that's not the option I'm looking for. Hold on. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let me see, delete. I want to delete this line because I want to start from an absolute blank slate. So I'm going to hit the delete button, and there it goes. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the second line. I'm going to click on it, left click, and I'm going to click on delete, and there it's gone. So now we basically have a clean slate, clear screen right here with absolutely nothing on it, and that's what we're going to use to start. This is what's called the blank screen. Now, there are many, before we get started, there are many different view options that you have. Again, similar to Microsoft Word, PowerPoint has view options. So if you notice, I'm moving my mouse over to the View tab, and this ribbon up here, this is called a ribbon, and the ribbon has sub categories in the ribbon, which you can use to do different things. So when I go over to View, you'll notice I'm in the normal view right now. I could change that to Outline View, and the Outline View basically shows you a view of the when you have slides set up, it'll show you the outline 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the most current slide you have selected. So if there's more than one slide here, it would show the multiple slides, and then it would have the main slide that you've selected on there. You also have slide sorter, which basically just shows you all of the slides. So if we had an extra slide out right now, if there were 3 slides, it would show 1, it would show 2, and then it would show 3. And what I could do is, if I wanted to, for some reason, if I decided I wanted to change the order of my slides, I could simply grab slide 3 over here and move it over in front of number 1. And we may play around with that in a little while after. I just want to give you the different view options that are available before we even get started. There's also a notes page. The notes page is handy if you're going to do notes. I think I had mentioned in the syllabus, and we will get into this a little bit, that there are different ways that you could set up your PowerPoint presentation to show on a screen. So you could have a split screen where the screen that the audience sees only the slide, but the computer that you're looking at, the computer monitor you're looking at, shows the slide in one corner, and it shows your notes in another corner, which is very handy when you want to create notes or bulleted points that you want to stay on topic about. You put the notes down in this section right here, and then up top is where you would create your slide. So if you're on the notes page, that you'll notice you have your slide, and then you have your notes section down here, which the audience does not see, only you see. Those are really the main the main views that we're going to talk about. Some of these other views, like the reading view, it's just a different type of view that you can use. And over here, where my mouse pointer is right now, you could have rulers if you chose to. You'll notice that looks a little bit like Microsoft Word, where you've got the margins up top, right? Or you could do grid lines if you were trying to really line up pictures or type or lettering or something. It allows you grid lines. And of course, then you just take the grid line off by unchecking. So there are different options that you have as far as views go. So I'm going to move back now over to home. First, before I do that, I'm going to click on normal view because I want to be on my normal view. Now I'm going to click back to home. So now I'm back home, and we're at the very beginning. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to create a presentation. So we've already got into the software program. We've clicked on new, we've clicked on blank, and here we are. So we're at our first slide. This is our first slide of the presentation. What I always suggest you do, if possible, if you remember to do so, is save your PowerPoint presentation right off the bat. So that way you always want to continue to save as you go along. So that way you don't end up encountering a problem where your computer's frozen, or you accidentally got out of something, and now all of a sudden all the work you've done for the last 20 minutes is gone. So what I often do is, when I'm at my first slide, and just before I begin doing anything to the actual presentation, I go over to File. When you left-click File, you'll notice down the side here, there's a whole bunch of options. So there's New, there's Open. Open is if you had one that you were going to, if you already had a saved file that you wanted to open up, you click Open, and you would select the file to open. But at this point, we want to do Save. And what's the difference between Save and Save As? Well, Save allows you to save your particular presentation in a specific spot. Save As allows you to save a PowerPoint presentation in a different spot or under a different name. So for instance, if you had worked on presentation 1, but you had another presentation that you had to do which was very similar, and you were just making a few changes, you could make it to presentation 1. Instead of just saving, you would save as and call it presentation 2. So there are some shortcuts there that allow you to do different things depending on what it is you need to accomplish. Mind you, you never want to make changes if you have presentation 1 and you're making some changes for another presentation. You never want to just hit the save button, because save automatically saves over the same name and over the same location as what you have up right now. So the only time you save is if you're saving the presentation that you're working on at the same spot. Anytime you want to change the location that you want to save your presentation, or if you want to save it to a different name, you always want to use Save As. So again, we've created our document. Now we're going to save our document. So I'm going to save it before we start. You'll notice when I click on save, it automatically brings me to save as because we've not saved this program before. So this is a new presentation. What I'm going to choose to do, which you might want to do, and this is completely up to you. When you click on the browse button on save, there are different places that you can put your PowerPoint presentation. And you'll notice in the PowerPoint presentation that you can either save to a documents folder or a desktop or somewhere else. And you can choose to save it wherever you want. I particularly like to save my PowerPoint presentations on the desktop so they're readily available. So like when I open up my computer, right on my desktop, I just click on the presentation that I need and I can get it started. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click on desktop. And when I click on desktop, I'm going to call my presentation something. Well, my presentation I'm going to do today is on Realtor safety. So I'm going to call this Realtor safety. So my PowerPoint presentation, Realtor safety, I hit save, and now my PowerPoint is saved. My presentation is called Realtor safety. I have my first slide, and I'm ready to begin. So we've saved the document. Again, if you already had a document, you would just simply go to File and click Open. And when you click Open, you'll notice that Realtor safety is in there already. So if you were choosing that one or choosing a different one, if you wanted to open a previously saved one, that's how you would do it. All right, getting back to our slide now. So we talked a little bit about saving, and we talked a little bit about importing a file, and we talked a little bit about the status bar, which is up here. Now we're going to talk about closing the presentation. So when you're done, again, you always want to save. So you'll notice as I move down my mouse, I click on save, and boom, it doesn't ask me to do anything because it just saved my program over the existing name in the existing location. If I wanted to change the name or I wanted to change the location, I would hit the save as, and then again, I could browse and put a different, I could set it to a different area, or I could call it a different name. And then closing the presentation, which I can't do because we're recording. Simply, if you want to close the presentation, there's a close button right here after you've saved it, and it'll close it. You'll still be in PowerPoint, and you can either create a new one at that point, open an existing one, or exit the program. Okay, so that's the side ribbon here, and that's all of the features of the side ribbon. Now again, we're back. We're back to our first slide. So we've talked a little bit about the status bar. We've talked a little bit about the ribbon. The one thing I wanted to explain to you on the ribbon are the different groups. So you'll notice anytime we insert anything, when you click on insert, you'll see all of these different options, and we will go through some of these a little later on, and also in the advanced section of PowerPoint as well. But under insert, anytime you need to insert something, you're always going to want to hit the insert heading, and it's going to bring up the subdirectory. The same thing with draw. If you decide you wanted to draw a line or erase something, you click on draw, and you'll see all the subcategories here as well. You have design, you have transitions, animations, slideshow. That is when you're ready to show your slideshow. We'll go over that later on. Review, and again, of course, the view section, which we had already talked about. What you'll notice on this particular version of PowerPoint, there's normally a help button, and it's in the form of a question mark. This one doesn't have it. So what happens is some PowerPoint programs are a little bit different than other ones depending on the model number and things like that. If you do not see a little question mark or a little help sign, that is because you have to use the command control. And the command control for help is function F1. So I'm going to hold down function, and I'm going to hit F1 on my keyboard, and you'll notice help pops up on the side here. And at this point, you can do a lot of different things. You can start with get started with help. You can collaborate on help. You can look specifically for different subtitles of help, like if you needed to do something with animations, you can search animations, or you could simply type in the search bar, which I usually do because I don't have a long attention span, so I don't try going through all the categories and subcategories. I'll just type in help and say, for instance, I want to insert text box. When I type insert text box and hit enter, you'll notice it comes up with a directory of different search options. Add text to slide, add copy or delete text box, add an effect text box. So you'll see all these different things here that you can do with text boxes. That is how you use the help section. So either you're going to have up top here on the ribbon, there's either going to be a question mark or something, actually a tab saying help. If not, do not worry. You simply hit function F1 at the same time and it will bring up your help section. Once you're done with the help section, you just simply click on the X, you X out of the help section, and you'll notice you're back to your canvas in your first slide. So that's how you use the ribbon, and that's how you find the help if there's not a help on the ribbon. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go down to the presentation, and we're going to open up a presentation template. So you'll notice that, and you go to insert here, that we have all kinds of options. And there are options for pictures, tables, new slide. If you're going to choose a new slide, you have your shapes, your icons, your smart art, your charts, and all this other stuff. But what's not under insert is the templates, because the templates are in a different section. They're in design. So if you go over to design, you'll see all of these different templates that you can use. And if you go over it, it will show you exactly what it is you have there. And you'll notice it's not very big, but there are down arrows here. So there are more design templates than what actually shows. So you can choose one, or you can decide to keep with a blank. A lot of presenters just use a pre-formulated template. Now, the other thing is you can find templates online as well. So if you Googled, or if you went to Microsoft.com, you could always download, typically for free, other PowerPoint templates. So that way you could have other templates to go by. You know, you can either Google it, or down here, see where it says browse for themes. You can browse for more themes, and if you have some on the computer, it'll come up. For now, we'll just find one we'll find a simple one. So I click the down arrow, and I'm scrolling here, and I'm just looking at the different themes, and I'm going to go with a very simple background. So let's do let me see here, find something. All right, so this looks fine. So you'll notice right here when I roll my mouse over it, it has that background. If I roll my mouse over the one before that, it has that background. So I'm going to choose this background right here. When I choose it, on the right-hand side, left-hand side is the designs. The right-hand side says, okay, out of that design, what colors would you like? Because you have options here. So you can choose to do what's on the screen now, or if I click on the next one, you'll notice what happens. It turns more blue. You can also do a purple. You can do an orange. And again, if you do the down arrow, you can control colors and fonts and effects. So in background styles. So you could choose to have a different color if you chose to. And I'm going to do I'll do like a lighter grayish blue, whatever that's called there. So I'm going to click on that one, and then voila. So you'll notice there's this little design with this color. You can even choose to change this color if you want. If you go to colors, you'll notice here you have all these different office color combinations to choose from. You can customize colors. So again, you're not stuck with a particular color theme. You can choose anything you want. I've decided I'm going to go with this. So that is my that is going to be my design template. My presentation template is what we're going to call it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to home, and we have our format here. This is our background, okay? And now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to add something to that background. So selecting to start off with some text. So if we go to Insert, you'll notice that there is a text box right here on the mid right hand side. So we're going to start with the very basics. We're going to do a text box. And we're going to make the text box by dragging the left side of the mouse, holding down the left mouse button and dragging, it will produce your text box. Okay. And now you can, this works just like Microsoft Word now. So you have a text box. You'll notice up here, you can change the font. You can change the size. You can change the bold, italic, underline, subscript, the size, the color, anything you want. You can choose to have it on the left-hand side. You can choose to have it in the center, on the right-hand side. It's all there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to center this actually, because this is going to be a title screen. So I'm going to center this. And again, when we first started out, there was a slide already set up, and it said title and it said subtitle. You could certainly use that and skip this step. I want to start from a blank canvas so I can show you how to insert the text. So I've just created the border. I've made the border longer, again, simply by holding down the left mouse button and moving it over. I can make this as long or as short as I want to, this text box. I can widen it. I can make it longer or shorter or whatever. And right now, I'm going to choose to put the text in the middle of the box. So I'm going to center the text. I'm going to make the text bigger. Let's start off at 44. And I'm going to use a different style font. Say something a little bit more fancy. And we are going to use like a Realtor blue. Okay, so this is called the Realtor Safety Course. A couple of things you noticed. Again, it works like Microsoft Word. When I typed in the word Realtor and then I put in parentheses an R, it automatically makes the R the copyright symbol, which is great because that's what we want when we're doing the Realtor symbol. However, if you did a parentheses R, but you were just trying to do a parentheses R, it's as simple as just hitting the back button. So watch again. So I go parentheses R, parentheses, and then that'll stop it from being a copyright. Okay, so right now what I want to do is I'm going to go back in. I'm going to make that my copyright R again. So there it is. So Realtor Safety Course, we just successfully created a text box. Again, you can highlight the text box. You can bold it. You can choose to underline it if you want or not. Subscript. Subscript just basically gives you that depth to the words. I'm going to slide this down just a little bit towards the middle. Of course, you can italicize it if you want as well, just like you do with with Microsoft Word. You can also highlight it. So if you want to highlight it, you can do that as well. So we're going to keep that just like that. Now what we want to do is we want to add a subtitle. So subtitle works the same way. We're going to insert a text box. And what we're going to do is right here under, we're going to put a subtitle. And we're going to center it, just like we did before. Now, I forgot what we did for, it was a 44 face. So we're going to do something a little bit smaller because subtitle is usually smaller than the regular title. So we'll do 32. But we do want to do the same. We do want to do the same typeface. Realtor Safety Course, and we're going to call this for XYZ. XYZ. Oh, I thought I had it capitalized. XYZ. There we go. Realty. So this is a Realtor Safety course for XYZ Realty, and I'm going to highlight this. I want to bold it, and I am going to do the same color. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to highlight it. Okay, so Realtor Safety course, XYZ Realty. That is how you do a text box. If you're looking to make the text box where it boxes out, if you're looking to actually use the text box as a box, you can do that also. So what you'll notice is when I click on the box, you have these lines here. And what you can do is actually fill the lines, or you can actually set up the border. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get it over so it shows that little plus sign. I'm going to right click the button, and it brings up all these different options. Okay, edit text, edit points. One of them is called format shape. Okay, and set default text box. So I want to format the shape right now. So what I'm going to do is when I click on format the shape, you'll notice here I can fill the line if I want. So if I decide I want to fill the whole line, I can fill it solid if I want to, or I can choose not to fill it. What I want to do right now is I want to click on the line, and I want to make the solid line to show you that you can actually create a line around the box, so a border around the box if you want to. And you'll notice right here that it gives you the option. Let me see here. You can do a single, you can do double, you can do a single width, double width, and then a single. You have all these different options as far as what type of border that you would like to do. And then what you choose to do is simply decide on the transparency and what color you want the box to be. So you can change the color of the box, as you'll notice there. If we do that, it changes the line color of the box. So there's different options there. I'm not going to do a line for this box, but I just wanted to show you that if you chose to do a box line, that's how you would do it. You would simply, again, go back to the text box, and while the line is up, you move over the line with your plus, with your cursor, and you right click, and then you can format the shape. Okay? All right, so we're back to our title slide, which says Realtor Safety Course XYZ Realty. Now what I want to do is I want to maybe put the name of the presenter under on all the slides, so that way it shows up there, and that is called the footer. And what we'll do is we'll get to the let me see here for 1 second. Maybe we can do the we'll wait on the footer for now, because I have a method to my madness. So that is how you do the text. So we've got a text in there, we've added the text, and we're good to go. If you want to add a picture, we'll do that in a couple of minutes as well. So this is basically how you start your slide. You've got the text, and we've edited the text, we formatted the text. If you wanted to bullet it, you could do that as well. But this is just that title screen, so we're not going to do that just yet. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add another slide. So in order to add another slide, you'll go up to the top here under Home. You'll notice where it says New Slide, and there's a down arrow. You want to hit the down arrow, and look, it gives you options on a new slide. It says, okay, do you want to do a new slide blank, which is just the background here? So that way you don't have to, if you just click on New Slide, it will format, it will give you a specific format for a new slide, okay? And unless you want to do exactly this type of format that you see here with the title and the text, you're not going to want to do that. So let me go back here, and anytime you want to delete a slide, you just highlight the slide by clicking on it and then hitting delete. So we're going to go back up to slide again, and under new slide where you see the down arrow, what we're going to do is we're going to choose blank. And that will allow us to have a new blank canvas per se, similar to what we did on the first one. Now, if you decided that your first slide was going to be very similar to your second slide, you could simply copy and paste the slide. So for instance, say we had, say your title slide and your last slide were very, very close to being the same. You could right click on the slide like I just did. You could copy, and then below that last slide you could paste, right click, paste, and now all of a sudden you'll notice you have copied your slide. So you've saved yourself some time. If your first slide, if your title slide and your last slide are very similar, you've saved yourself some time with setting it up again. Or you could take that last slide now and you could make it a little bit different, but you've already got the text boxes set up the way you want to. So those are options. Again, I'm going to click on the slide and I'm going to delete this for the purposes of what we're doing right now. So we're on to slide 2 right now. We've learned how to set up text, and we've learned how to add a slide. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add slide 2, and this time what we're going to do is, instead of a title slide, we're going to have our first presentation slide, I guess you should say, of information. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a slide for our presentation. And how we're going to do that? Well, let's start again with some text. So we insert and we go over to text box, and we're going to create a text box. And what we're going to do here is we're going to keep it flush on the left-hand side, but we're going to change the graphic, the size of the text. Again, remember that when you're looking at the text on a computer, it's going to look far different than what it's going to look on a screen. And you want to make sure that your text is big enough and bold enough, and you don't want to have a ton of words and sentences on every slide. You really want to think of slides as like bulleted points. You really don't want to get into paragraphs on slides when you don't have to. So let's find, I'm going to find a different text style this time, a different font. This time we're going to do Times New Roman. So this Times New Roman, and I am going to keep to black, and I'm going to create my text. So I'm going to do Realtor. There we go. Safety tip number 1. All right. So now we have our text box. Again, we can move this around anywhere we want throughout the entire slide. I'm going to keep it up here. And there we go. Realtor safety tip number 1. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create another text box, insert, text box. I'm going to put it right under it. But this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to add text in a bulleted section, in a bulleted way. So what we're going to do is we're going to add up here. You'll notice you have bullets, numbers. If you click on the down arrow, you can choose numbers, letters, Roman numerals. Just like on the bulleted one, if you don't want bullets, you click on the down arrow. You can do bullets, or you can do asterisks, you can do check marks, you can do pyramids. So I'm going to do pyramids. So Realtor safety tip number 1, don't park in the seller's driveway. All right, that's safety tip number 1. Don't park in seller's driveway. So if I hit enter, it's going to say, okay, do you want to do another one? Nope, I don't want to do another one, but what I do want to do is I want a subcategory under the don't park in the seller's driveway. So just like Microsoft Word, if I hit on tab right now, it's going to move over. Notice how it's moving over underneath. so that way I can have a subsection here. My subsection is going to be the reasons why not to park in the seller's driveway. Need to have easy access for leaving. And I'm going to stretch this text box out a little bit. So I just want one line. Okay. Number 2, do not want anyone to park behind me and block me in. All right, so you'll see realtor safety tip number 1, don't park in the seller's driveway, need to have easy access for leaving, do not want anyone to park behind me and block me in. So those are the 2 reasons, well, that's the tip, and that's the reason, those are the 2 reasons why. So again, I'm going to make this, and I'm going to change this actually, make this a little bit larger. It's 36 now. We're going to go to a 44 and stretch this out so that way we don't have a problem. I'm going to move this down just a little bit, and I'm going to make this bigger. Uh, 36. And we want to line it up just like we did the other one. We want it to be Times New Roman, just like the first one. All right. So we have our text in there. So we're all set. So we've added a second slide there, and we put in our realtor safety tip. So now we've inserted a text. Now what about if we wanted to insert a picture? Well, again, you would go to the Insert tab on the ribbon, and you'll notice on the left-hand side, you'll see pictures and online pictures. So there's a difference. When you click on the word pictures, what it's going to do is it's going to bring you to your computer. If you have pictures actually set up on your computer, if you had like a logo that you wanted to use or something, you would go to that particular file and you would bring in the picture. However, what we're going to do for this particular piece is we're going to look for an online picture. We're going to look for something that Microsoft has that we can use. And so let's see if we can find something with driveway and car. Let's see if something shows up. You can search for different things here. All right, so these are all actual pictures versus there are some illustrations in there, but they're primarily pictures. I don't see anything in here that I would necessarily use. One thing I do want to call your attention to is down the bottom here, it says these results are tagged with Creative Commons licenses. So basically what this means is you can use these types of pictures that Microsoft's allowing you to use for your presentation. If you want to show all results, then you might be getting into some copyrighted pictures, which you have to be very, very careful about when you're doing a presentation. You always need to be careful about copyright law whenever you're doing pictures or any type of illustrations, because obviously because of lawsuits. So let me go back here. This time, instead of driveway and car, I'm just going to put car. All right, so let's see if we can find a car that we want to use. Sure, we'll take that one. You click on it, see it's checked off, insert. Now, there's the car. So you'll notice that on the right-hand side, this design ideas comes on because it's kind of like a hint section. It can tell you different things that you can do and can't do with the picture. I don't think we need that. You just click on X to close out of it. And then basically, the picture is like a text box. You can move it any way you want. You can make it smaller. You can make it larger. Let me see here. I'm going to erase this part right here if I can. There we go. And I'm going to make this picture smaller. So I'm shrinking it. Now I can do one of two things when I'm shrinking it. I can either go by the corner like I'm doing here, and I'm going diagonal pushing in so it keeps with the same ratio, or I can make it longer, or I can make it wider. I can do anything. Now, you'll notice that the picture has a white background, and the picture is going to continue to have a white background because that's the way the picture was designed, whereas your background on this particular slide is blue. And there are ways to take the picture and to actually make it so it fills in the shape. If you notice when I click on the box here, right, again, it says shape outline, shape effects, shape fill. If I try to fill the shape, it's going to allow me to fill certain areas. Although on the pictures, I'm not so sure that it's going to allow me to do that. Let me just check here. No, it won't. So your picture is going to remain white, the actual picture itself, which is okay because we're in the middle of the white section here anyway, so we can design it so it doesn't look too bad. So very basic illustration of how to do a picture. So you bring the picture in, you insert the picture, you find the picture you want, you choose it, and then you can shrink it, make it larger, move it around. You'll notice also up here you have this diagonal, not diagonal, but this semicircle. If you hold down your left mouse button, you can actually rotate the car or whatever the picture is. If you want to do that instead, if you want to make it look that it's not flat, you can do that as well. So I'm going to just maybe rotate it just a little bit. Not that much there. And I'm going to move it back over here. So there you go. So now you've got the car. If you ever want to change the picture, what you do is you double click and you hit change picture right here, and you go back to online pictures, and then you decide which one you want. So you're not stuck with the picture. If you decide that you want to change the picture, you just simply double click on it, and then the format comes up and it says, okay, what do you want to do? And it says, I want to change the picture. Or you can reset the picture, or if you want, you can simply just hit delete. The picture's gone. This is a good time to show you the undo button. So if you ever accidentally delete something, or you've made a mistake, or you've really gotten into some changes that you didn't want to make, they're not working out, you can always go back to the top on the left-hand side here. There's this little back arrow, and that back arrow is an undo. So when you click on that back arrow, you'll notice my car came back. If I click on the back arrow again, it goes back to the left. So it always goes back to the last thing that you've done up till when you saved your program. So all these changes that I did with my car are now being undone. And you can continue to do that the whole time. So you'll notice that the picture is there. I'm going to make the picture a little bit smaller, and I'm going to move it over just a little bit. And there you go. So that's how you create a slide with a picture and with text. You can also capture a picture through a snapshot. That's a possibility too if you have a computer with snapshot capabilities, which most computers do. You'll notice that when you click on insert, there's an area here. I don't see it on this one. Oh, right here, screenshot. So I could take a screenshot of, like if I'm on a website, if you were teaching something and you were talking about a website, you could have that website up on your computer, and when you click on screenshot, you could actually go to screen clipping, minimize PowerPoint, and when you clip on the screenshot that you want, it'll import it into the slide. I can't get out of the PowerPoint because we're recording on the PowerPoint right now, but trust me, what you do is you click on screenshot, and then you minimize the PowerPoint, and then you can click on whatever screen that you have on the computer, or you can go to Google, or you can bring up anything. You could bring up, if you were teaching a Microsoft Word class and you wanted to show them different Microsoft Word frames, you could bring up Microsoft Word and you could take a screenshot around that window, and then it would automatically pop into this particular slide. So if I go to screenshot, there is something I'm showing here, available windows. So if I click on the available windows, it will take a picture of that particular window and it'll import it onto here. So you have that option as well. You don't only have the option to insert a picture from your computer, but you also have the option to insert a picture that Microsoft has in a library, or you have the option to insert a picture via screenshot. So there are multiple ways to insert pictures onto a slide, and that's how you do it. We did talk a little bit already about editing the image and formatting the image when we're in the image. So again, if you want to make changes to the image, slide it in and out, you can do that. You can also make a change to the, let me see here, you can add borders to the picture if you want to. If not, again, undo, and it's gone. There it is. So you can add borders just like you did with the text. You can add borders to the pictures as well. And you can obviously add, just like you can add text, you can add as many pictures as you want to the slide. It's not determined to only have one picture. You can do a picture and a screenshot, or you can do a logo and a picture. Whatever the slide will hold, you can do. So that's a little bit about images and formatting images and editing images. Now what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about grouping and ungrouping images. So say you had an image. I'm going to bring up another image. Let me pull up another picture. I'm going to pull up a house this time. So here's our house. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to click insert. X out of this help button. Let's make our house smaller. Okay, so now we've got a house, we've got a car. Say I want to keep these pictures together. I can do that. It's called grouping. So what you would do is, we've highlighted one picture and we hold the shift button and we highlight the other picture. You'll notice that both pictures now, the boxes are on both. Okay? While the boxes are on both, you simply right click and see where it says group right here? You can group them together. So what does that do? That just meshed our pictures into one picture. So now it's not moving two pictures, it's moving one picture. And you can do whatever you want with it, however you want. And you can group more than two pictures. You can group 4 pictures, 6 pictures. It doesn't really matter. It just allows you to group them together. So when you're moving things around, you're moving them around. So say you've got them precisely the way you want to, the car in front of the house the way it is, but you want to move it around, you're probably better off grouping it, because that way you're not trying to move both images at the same time. And anytime you want to ungroup the images, you can do that. You simply, again, go over the line, you right click the button, go on, there we go. And where it says group, you just simply ungroup and boom, they're back to being ungrouped again. So that's how you group and ungroup the pictures. Next, what we're going to do is I'm going to delete the house. The house is just an example. We'll bring the car back to where it was. And I'm going to show you a little bit about inserting in other things. So you'll notice right here, there's also shapes and icons. So there's all kinds of things that you can insert. If you want to insert a shape, you'll notice there's all these different shapes, these lines, these pyramids. Why do you do some of this? Well, you do it for effects. So if you wanted to, for instance, if you wanted to take the arrow and point it downward, like, do not park here, you could do that. Or if you wanted to add a star or whatever the case may be, you could do any of that. And then there are icons here, and icons are similar to the pictures. So you'll notice icons are just simply different pre-made, prefab pictures, but in black and white. And you can choose any of them for any reason whatsoever as well. So you have all these different insert pieces here to use within your slide. Finally, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about tables and inserting a table and formatting a table. So what we're going to do is we're going to start slide number 3. So we go back to home, new slide, back down to blank, and there we go. We're on slide number 3. But this time, this slide, what I want to do is I want to do a table. So how do I do a table? I click on Insert, and you see right here you have the table option, okay? Now, when I click on the down arrow for the table, it looks similar to what you have in Word or Publisher, where it says, okay, what kind of table do you want? How many columns, how many rows do you want in your table? You'll notice that when I go over it, when I move over it with my mouse, I can add columns, I can add rows, and when I get to whatever it is I've decided on my table, I'm all set. Now I can do that, and once I do it again, so you can add as many as you want. So I'm going to do 3 rows. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. That's what I'm going to do. Now I click the button, and there it is. So you'll see it. Here it is on the screen, on the slide. And again, you can do just like you could do with the text, and just like you could do with the images and the icons. You can move it around any way you want. It's a box. The difference now is you can make it bigger, so you can widen all of the columns, all the rows. You can make the rows bigger. You can make the columns shorter or longer, and basically do whatever you want with the table. Now, in order to, and you'll notice up here too, you have options for colors. So again, and you can use the down arrow to add different colors depending on what you're looking for. You can also customize the colors if you want to. But that we won't get into right now. But let's say we're going to do this particular table. In order to edit the table, in order to insert your text, you simply, just like Microsoft Word or Excel in this case, right? This looks almost like an Excel sheet. You click on the cell that you want to do, and you're instantly back into your text area. So you can go to the left, you can go to the right, you can use the middle, whatever it is that you want to do to type the text. And I'm going to do something very simple here. I'll do a Times New Roman, and because it's black, I'm going to change the color of the font to white, and I'm going to say example 1. And now I've got to do it each and every time. So Times New Roman. All right. And we're going to change it to white. Example 2. And there you go. So now, if you want to keep going, what you could do as a shortcut is highlight, just like Microsoft Word, you could highlight the words, right-click the button, click copy, go over to the next cell, right-click the button, click paste, and there you go. Right-click, click paste, right-click, click paste, and then just simply change the numbers. 2, so this is 3, 4, and 5. And that's how you create a text box. And basically, you could put any text that you want in here, anything you like. And if you feel like you need to make it larger to fill up the slide, you can do that. Just remember that when you make the table larger, it doesn't necessarily make the text larger. You would need to go back in and highlight. And you can do more than one at a time. You can highlight a whole bunch of cells and then make them all larger at one time. So there you go. We're up to 32 now. So that is an example of a text box. Move it over just a little bit more. So that's how you insert a text box, a table and a text box into the table, and that's how you format the table as well. So you'll see here that we've accomplished a lot in our first module. We've done pictures, text, shapes, icons, and tables. We've formatted them. We've understood how to save, and again, we're going to go to File. Always save your work. Make sure you save your work so it's set. So now it's saved, and that is basically that is a very basic slideshow that we have there. So the last thing I want to do is I want to show you how a slideshow works, not the intricacies of creating a specialized slideshow, but just a basic slideshow. So we have 3 slides right now, right here. If we go up to slideshow in the ribbon, you'll notice the subdirectory. Okay, you could choose to begin the slideshow from the beginning, from a current slide. So if I was on slide 2, you could start the slideshow from the current slide or from the beginning. Either one. We're not going to get into the custom slideshows or the rehearsal times right now, but we will get into that in the next module. So let's start from the beginning, and you'll notice that you have our title slide. And in order to navigate the slide, you have one of 2 options. You can either use what's called a presenter tool, which everybody uses, which has a click. We call it a clicker, and it has arrows. Or you can still use the keyboard. So on the keyboard, you have your right and left arrows. So I'm going to click on right, and it brings me to my next slide. And if I click on the right slide again, it brings me to my next slide. If I want to go back, I just use the back arrow, and that is how you show a slideshow to your audience. And when you're done, on your last one, it'll just simply show that it's ended. How do you get back to your formatting screen? You just simply hit ESC. So the tab ESC brings you back to your work screen. Once again, you go to slideshow from the beginning, and then you just simply click on the arrow, move it back and forth the way you want to as you do in your presentation, and you can check it at any time. And when you're done, you hit the ESC button, and you're back to the beginning again. And so that is the basics of putting together a slideshow. We did 3 slides with text, graphics, icons, tables. We did new slides. We used a template. So that is basically how you start a PowerPoint slideshow. And again, always remember to save it at the end and in the middle. As you go along, you should keep saving it so that way you don't lose your work. That is it for the introduction portion of the PowerPoint. However, what I would like is, as I had said in the beginning, I would like you to create a basic 3-slide slideshow. It could be on anything you like. If you want it to be on one of your topics or your first topic as you start to build, so that way you're already starting to use it and you're going to continue on with it, that is fine too. Whatever it is, just 3 basic slides using text and using either some type of illustration, whether it be pictures or screenshot or shapes or icons, some kind of illustration, and possibly a table if the table makes sense. If the table doesn't make sense, that's okay. But 3 slides with a title slide, 2 other slides, and save it, and just simply send me the file to my email. It's Paul Chasse, PaulChasse @hotmail.com, and that way I can receive it and review it. And that is all for Module 2, Introduction to PowerPoint. Our next module will be the Advanced PowerPointing. So we hope to see you back soon.